iPhone 16 Pro Max versus iPhone XS Max speed test after 7 years. Let's find out how fast the iPhone XS Max is now since 2018. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and let's go ahead and just get both of these Goldilocks boot up in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, the iPhone XS Max launched way back in 2018, so this is in its 7th year. To be exact, it will be 7 years in September, but we're already close enough. This is its 7th year on the market. So the XS Max was the first large of the newer iPhone designs, and it boots up faster, surprisingly, than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. But you can see such a stark difference in the bezels, the size. The 16 Pro Max is a glorious upgrade over the XS Max, but I gotta tell you, I still quite like the gold. I still quite like the edges on the XS Max. The thing feels beautiful. It really does, and it held up very well. If you bought that phone and you're still using it, I don't blame you. The thing's still amazing. So let's go ahead and do Face ID now. Now, they both do have that same exact unlocking mechanism. I will say the XS Max is not quite as accurate to me as the 16 Pro Max on weird angles, but it definitely still gets the job done. Although I do find that just the one on the 16 Pro Max just seems to be a slightly more accurate, but it's just not a big difference. You could see they came away from the notch, but what I want to do before we head into the app test is do a battery check here and show you that I do have 100% capacity, and it'll say right there, your battery is supporting peak performance right there for my XS Max. And so people don't say, well, that battery is super old and you don't have 100% life, so you're not getting through. And we're right here, so we're 100% here. They don't show the cycles on the older one, but you'll see 94 cycles on this phone. So that's what I wanted to showcase first. And when it comes to just navigating the general user interface of iOS, you'll find a couple more stutters, a slower look to the XS Max, but it's kind of like mostly because of the 60 Hertz. It'll look kind of similar to the base 16 and 16 Plus. But generally, what I really love about this is that in 2025, 7 years, it's going on 7 years since you purchased your XS Max, your phone still runs very good. That is an incredible deal if you never upgraded. If you upgraded, then, you didn't get the most out of your purchase, but still, wow. It's just funny how good these phones perform now versus back in the day when we had a 5S, we had an iPhone 6. Those devices with 1 and 2 gigs of RAM, they would start getting really choppy pretty quickly. So it's nice to see that just regular usage, it's doing pretty good. Let's get on to the app test. All right, so here we are at the app test, and you can see everything is now closed out. This is the basic row. We have the AI row, some social media and shopping, and then some gaming, and then some benchmarks. Let's go over here to the basic row, and you can see there's not going to be a substantial difference. Let me turn off, make sure True Tone is off on both. I thought it was, but the iPhone 16 Pro Max display just looks a little bit more warm. Go over here to stopwatch, alarms, and clocks. And so basic use is going to be great still. You still get that nice OLED display on the XS Max, but you see much faster there to launch into our app store. And people who own these phones that have maybe more photos loaded up on there or more apps loaded on their XS Max, you can see it's struggling a little bit to get these. You need a little bit more patience now with older phones like this, but they're not like unusable. That's the good thing. I got to a point with some of the older day iPhones where they just became unusable. So you can see even ChatGPT, if we say iPhone 16 Pro Max specs, and then we'll do iPhone, let's just do the same so we get the same response. You can still generate, you can do chat with ChatGPT on both phones. So we're going to take a second here, and you see the XS Max can do this just fine. So while you don't get onboard AI, you can still use those because they're internet based. So pretty cool that you can do that. You can also use Gemini on both phones, and I like how they brought this across I like how you can still use this on some of the older devices. It really is good. Let's go into Grok now, and you'll see that was faster on the left. We'll go into Copilot, a little bit faster on the left. And let's go ahead and launch YouTube here. And you see now it's faster on the right. We were loading up some content there on the left, so we'll go to trending here. We'll go to music, gaming, and movies. And so you're not gonna have an issue watching YouTube videos, that's for sure. So like, if you're just doing basic tasks here in 2025, like you don't really need to splurge on a high-end phone. You could just get a yesteryear phone or just keep the phone you have like for a while. It's really, I think it comes down to more like, do you want better battery life? Do you want better camera? Those are the areas where I really see substantial improvements to these devices. So let's go to profile here. And then we'll swipe up out of there. We'll go into Amazon. And that was faster on the left. And you could see about a second, a little bit of chop on the iPhone XS Max. But again, for 7 years, it's nowhere near annoyingly slow. And of course, if you are a heavier user, you're playing games, you definitely want to jump. But if like you held on this long and you're like, should I get this now? If you're already in June, you're still in your XS Max. You got 18.5 on board. I would probably just wait a couple more months, hold out, just because they're going to launch the 17s and you already made it this far. It's probably not a big deal. So you can see right here, Subway Surfers. But if you want to upgrade, you're getting substantial upgrade here. Like before summer, if you want to go into summer with a XS Max to here, you're getting a substantial upgrade. Only issue is that the trade-in values are very low for this phone now. I think they're somewhere around $200 to $300. They might even be lower. They're pretty darn low. Let's go into RTS. It's crazy because when you think about the fact that you paid well over $1,000 for the iPhone XS Max, that's crazy. But like the XS Max at the time was worth that money. The thing was like a piece of jewelry at the time with this gold color and everything. It was just stunning when it came out. But that was years ago. Let's go over here to Call of Duty. And I have to be real with you. I'm not trying to toot the iPhone XS Max's horn, but the device back in them times when this came out, it felt like more of a substantial upgrade because this is when they were first coming out with like the 10. They held back on the Max, which was a strategic move by Apple. They could have just brought it out at the same time, but they held out 1 year to bring you the Max. And then the Max felt like a really nice phone at the time because we didn't have a Max version of the new phone initially. So everyone was forced to use the smaller version of the phone. So we got an authentication error on this one. Oh, that was a little choppy on the XS Max. So I didn't like that when the 10 came out, I had to use a smaller version at first. I wish they would have just brought it initially, but I talked about that back then. But still, we have big iPhones now once again. And here we are in PUBG. Hopefully I don't get a count mixed up here on this one. But you can see in the game department, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, a lot better thermals. It's going to be a lot more powerful to play games and will not throttle as easily as the XS Max. So if you're playing anything beyond some casual games and a couple of sessions in a heavy game, the XS Max is definitely not going to be doing much more than that. That's where you really shine. But I hear a lot of comments, people saying, I don't really do heavy gaming on my phone. And if you don't, it's not a big issue. Let's go to Geekbench 6. And you'll see faster on the 10 on the 16 Pro Max and faster on the left. And we'll go to speed test net and a little bit quicker on the left. InShot faster on the left, but not substantially so. Faster on the left, waiting over here. So you did see that the 16 Pro Max, as you probably expected, won everything. And all those little microseconds do add up. So the 16 Pro Max will feel substantially faster, but it's the ProMotion that really makes it feel smoother. You don't have to even go to this phone to get that. You can go all the way up to 13 Pro Max. But wow, I have to say, I don't want it to sound like I like the XS Max more. I'm just impressed that this older phone is still running 18.5 and can still run like this. I thought it was just gonna be a lag fest, but the A12 Bionic 2.49 gigahertz, 3.67 gigs RAM, A18 is like double the clock speed, double the RAM. So it's twice as fast basically but in reality, it only feels like a little bit smoother and launches apps like a second faster in the day-to-day. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and go back through the applications. You can see everything is butter here on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And one of the things that you'll really like when coming from a XS Max, should you upgrade, is the kind of like the fluidity of the ProMotion when kind of like going through apps. It just feels like such a smooth experience, which is something the iPhone XS Max also felt like at its time, but now does not. So that was just gorgeous the way those looked going through there. Let's go ahead and take a look here at this one now in the latest version of iOS. And yeah, it gives me those 16 plus vibes with this 60 hertz panel right here. I wonder how this would stack up to like one of the 60 hertz 16s. And you see here comes the flaw with 4 gigabytes of RAM. Also, AI would probably bog these phones down, the XS Max, if you were using it for a while. Like if you kept chatting consistently with the ChatGPT or something, you might run into some heat on the phone and some slowdown after an extended conversation. But I don't see anything substantially horrible here, just the pausing of the background apps. A little bit choppy, 60 hertz. So when we start doing anything beyond or just basic opening of apps, you've seen it started getting a little bit choppy. So yeah, nice phone, but not really a multitasker. The XS Max, upgrading to the 16 Pro Max will give you multitasking power like you've never seen before. So here in Geekbench 6, as you would expect, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is finished first, but it's finished substantially faster here, just showcasing how much of a performance boost you will get. Of course, it is expected 7 years later, but this is just taking a very long time. So anything that's going to processor intensive task, you're going to really feel it in 2025 on the XS Max. It's kind of weird to say that because I remember when this phone came out, it was blowing past most of the competition. But this just goes to show how fast the phones have gotten. Even though it might just feel like, oh, they all kind of feel and look the same, underneath they have much faster power, much faster engines, which would be the chipsets. So definitely I'll be back when it's done. And here's the final score for the iPhone XS Max. You can see the multi-core score is lower than the single core score, with a horrible single core on the XS Max. So definitely a really slow phone according to the benchmarks. Let's go ahead and take a look at Wildlife Extreme and we'll see what kind of graphics tests you can get on these two. So I'll be back when they are done with this testing right here. And so our final 3D Mark scores in, you could see 27 FPS versus 6.7. That's the difference between a buttery smooth gaming experience versus a really choppy one. If we scroll down here, you'll see that 15% better in devices. So almost the entire market is faster than the XS Max right now, but there's still 15% of devices out there that are slower, that have done 3D Mark tests. And you would think, oh, the 16 Pro Max, the highest price, fastest phone in the world. No, there's 13% devices faster than this one out there. But yeah, it would be a substantial leap forward for you. And some people are going to say, those results don't mean I still game on my XS Max. I'm not saying your games won't play. What I'm saying is you'll have a substantial improvement should you upgrade this year. But honestly, if that's your main upgrade, I would wait, because they're likely going to bring some beast performance upgrades to the 17 Pro Max. Probably a thick battery as well, maybe even better than this one. So I'm excited for that one. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up with a quick camera test. I'll bring in my Rubik's Cube here and we'll use this as our prop. So let's go ahead and hold that and see how fast we can launch the cameras. 3, 2, go. And that was definitely faster on the left, and we'll do it again. 3, 2, and go. Faster on the left. And we'll do it one more time for good measure. 3, 2, go. And pretty close that time. If I go ahead and click the camera, you can see shutter speed's still pretty good on the iPhone XS Max. What about zooming? Also still smoother than some current Android phones out there. And last thing I want to do, just quickly check the temperature here. And you can see definitely 112, running a bit hotter than we would expect there, 112. Let's see what we get on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, 13 degrees cooler. So you can tell by the heat, you're going to run a lot warmer here on this phone. You'll probably want a case on that if you're still running on the latest software, because you will feel that heat sometimes on the XS Max. Anyway, if you guys found this video helpful, entertaining, or just informing, enjoyable to watch these battles of vintage iPhones versus newer iPhones, let me know down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and stay tuned because we're going to be covering WWDC's iOS 19. Well, they're calling it iOS 26 according to reports. So we'll see if that comes to fruition, which is likely to happen. But stay tuned, subscribe for more. I'll catch you all on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.